Hip impact protection is in the business of preventing falls and fractures of the hip. As Dr. Benjamin Franklin said, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Falls and the consequent hip fractures are the worst accident hazard for the elderly. For 20% of fallers, it ends their life within months, and half of all fallers suffer a dramatic and permanent reduction in their quality of life. Even after a fall with no fracture, the fear of falling persists and can lead to subsequent falls. Osteoporosis affects 3 million people in the UK and almost 1/3 of the population over 80. Although there are more vertebrae fractures than hip fractures, the health outcome of hip fractures is much more serious. We have had all hip protectors available in the UK tested by a number of authorities, including the leading authority on such tests, Professor Julian Minns. The point is that none of our customers has suffered a broken hip from a fall whilst wearing our device, as it reduces the impact below the threshold for a hip fracture, even for someone with severe osteoporosis. So we introduced a much softer, more malleable and cooler hip pad, contoured to sit snugly on the hip. It has many ventilation holes and clever ducting on the inner surface next to the thigh to ensure that the skin beneath does not heat up. But the amazing part is that its molecules lock together on impact, so it actually hardens instantly to soak up impacts from falls, resulting in over 75% of the force being absorbed, enough to prevent all such hip fractures. For some years we've used pants. However, many wearers were unhappy with pants and the annoyance of wearing 2 sets of undergarments if incontinent. So we've developed a special double-sided film that adheres firmly to the pad, though it is removable, and gently to the hip, like a wound dressing. The film is breathable, so it complements the pad. People forget they're wearing the pads and films after a couple of minutes. The NHS has agreed that modern hip protectors, like ours, are actually useful in preventing fractures. It is noticed that previous generations were so uncomfortable that people wouldn't wear them. Even NICE has not set its face against them. HIP's mission is to prevent fractures and falls and save the enormous associated damage, especially if we have a hard winter, since slippery surfaces lead to a spike in hip fractures. Remember, this could happen to an elderly relative of yours.